Welcome to the Record Machine Show, a podcast featuring interviews from indie and renowned artists from all genres of music. Now, here's your host, James Michael Hollenstein.
Welcome to the Record Machine Show. I'm James Michael Hollenstein, and today I'm honored to welcome back an artist whose music goes beyond entertainment. It heals, uplifts, and creates genuine connection. My guest is Boston-based, multi-award-winning singer-songwriter Linda Marks, a lyric-driven storyteller known for her heartfelt melodies, socially conscious themes, and a warm, expressive voice that leaves listeners feeling both grounded and hopeful. With 15 acclaimed studio albums already behind her, many charting on the Roots Music Report's folk and alternative folk charts, as well as the FAI Folk Chart, Linda continues to be a powerful and compassionate voice in contemporary folk music. Her 16th studio album, Queen of the Angels, arrives in just a few weeks and marks another deeply personal chapter in her remarkable creative journey. Linda's music has been featured on NPR, in the Boston Globe and Boston Magazine, and across radio, television, podcasts, and live streams worldwide. She's a voting member of the Recording Academy, leader of the ISSA Boston Northeast chapter, and a tireless advocate for artists and community. She's also coming off an exciting Grammy week in Los Angeles, performing at Music Fuse to support Music Cares, sharing the stage with fellow artist Amaru on Motherless Daughters, Fatherless Sons, and celebrating a major win at the World Entertainment Awards, where her 2025 album, The Silence of the Stars, took home Best Folk Album. Critics often note the elegance in Linda's voice and the emotional depth of her songwriting, qualities that have led to comparisons with artists like Carole King, Joni Mitchell, and Norah Jones. But what truly sets her apart is the sense of the lived experience and compassion that runs through every song she writes. To set the tone for today's conversation, we're going to begin with the title track from her upcoming album, a song filled with grace, strength, and emotional depth. So let's put the needle to the record and listen to Queen of the Angels.
Flames burn through the valley of smoke. Once called Yanga, place of poison oak, claimed for Spain in 1542. America's second largest city will need to build anew. Founded as Los Angeles in 1781, in search of gold and oil, with fortunes to be won, the town name reflected its Catholic founder's ways. The largest archdiocese in the USA. So many even as the fires calm, they leave a toxic wake. Toxic water, toxic air, our health is at stake. The city of angels needs a rebirth. Can we work together to heal planet Earth? So many people scared and homeless. So many dreams have fallen through. Where is the Queen of the Angels? There's so much work to do. Where is the Queen of the Angels now? Have the flames scorched her wings? Have the fires burnt her healing heart? I no longer hear her sing. So many people scared and homeless. So many dreams have fallen through. Where is the Queen of the Angels now? She needs healing too. Where is the Queen of the Angels now? She needs healing too.
You just heard Queen of the Angels by Linda Marks, and I have her on the line for an interview. Linda, it's great to have you back on the show. How does this current chapter of your music journey feel for you right now?
It's very, first of all, thank you. It's a pleasure to be back on your show, and I really enjoy coming on your show. And I'm really excited about the current chapter of my music journey. My 16th studio album, which is called Queen of the Angels, will be released on March 6th, and it's a fantastic album that's already been getting great reviews. And I've written all the songs for my 17th studio album, so that album is going to be starting production sometime later in March. I keep forgetting we're not in March yet. It's been so cold in Boston. I keep wishing we were in spring. So it's hard to accept that we're still in February. But in March, the recording process is going to begin because it takes about a whole year for a production cycle for an album. So excited about the album coming out March 6th, excited about the new album that's going to start its production.
Yeah, let's talk about the album coming out on March 6th. What inspired this record, and where were you emotionally while creating it?
Well, the album began Grammy weekend 2025. I bought my tickets, my plane ticket, my tickets for the Grammys. I had my hotel set up. I had my clients expecting me to not be here for my other work. And then the LA wildfires hit. And I had early COVID. I lost my voice entirely in November of 2019 and had no voice for 2 months and spent the next 5 years up through 2025 recovering the quality and the stamina. So when the wildfires continued, I realized for my health, I just couldn't expose myself to the toxic chemicals in the air. So with great grief, I had to cancel everything. And what I did the weekend of the Grammys, since I wasn't there, is I started to research about the history of LA and learned that the Yanga people who had been on the land that became Los Angeles before the Spanish, their name for the land meant Valley of Smoke, which was rather prescient. And so that's where the song Queen of the Angels came from. I wrote it as a song of healing. I wrote it hoping that in some way it might be a way to raise money for Music Cares, the nonprofit of the Recording Academy, to help artists who are struggling. So, it was in a place of my own grief that I couldn't be there from the toxic air, and also with great compassion for friends and colleagues who were impacted. Like, I was lucky I could keep away from Los Angeles, but I had friends and colleagues who lost everything, their homes with their instruments, with their library of their careers' work. So it was quite a powerful and sad weekend, and that's where the title song came from. The other songs sort of it's when I'm working on an album, the songs just come. The second song which is called You're Not Alone, I wrote to sing with Dimitris Nezis, a dear friend of mine from Greece. That song came when we were at the ISSA Awards that August, and I just got this feeling that there was a song I needed to write for him and I to sing as a duet. And when I got home from the ISSA conference, I wrote the song, and sure enough, we recorded it. But I could tell you the story of each song on the album, because every song does have a story.
I'd be more than willing to hear it if you'd love to. Love to tell
I'll
us.
Go through Sure, I'd be happy to tell. So the first song on the album is Queen of the Angels, which I've talked about. The second is You're Not Alone, which I just talked about. The third is called Introvert, and it's an autobiographical song because many singer-songwriters are introverts, and we have big dreams, and we do what we do because of the love, that we have in our hearts, and we want to touch people. But in many ways, we feel invisible. And in some ways, as introverts, we are invisible because I'm not the kind of person that's going to work a crowd and make everybody look at me. That's not my style. I'm more wishing that my music just touches people and that's the way, I make my impact. So that song, Introvert, was an autobiographical song. One thing that's very exciting, I worked with Justine Blazer for my production, and she's a brilliant, brilliant engineer and producer, as well as vocalist and songwriter. But she brought in Rhonda Vincent, who's a member of the Grand Ole Opry royalty, so to speak. She's a phenomenal talent who's had a phenomenal career to play mandolin, and she plays mandolin both on You're Not Alone and on Introvert. And her fiddler, Adam Haynes, who's phenomenal, his violin opens You're Not Alone with a gorgeous line, and he also plays on Introvert. The fourth song on the album, Motherless Daughters, Fatherless Sons, which I recorded as a duet with Amaru, I wrote that, and it's another autobiographical song. I'm a motherless daughter with a fatherless son, and I had this intuitive hit that Amaru was the right person to duet with me on it. I always follow my intuition, even if I don't know why. And it turned out he's a fatherless son. So it's a motherless daughter and a fatherless son singing a song about what gets passed down through the generations, but it's also a song of hope.
Right.
So it was really wonderful recording that duet with him, and he made an extraordinary video for the song that was just released this past Friday that we actually recorded in Los Angeles when we were in for the Grammys this year. And Cherise D'Souza, who's another dear friend, who's actually on a duet I wrote for her and I to do together for my 2027 album, she was there in LA as well. So the three of us went to a park in West Hollywood after all of us performed in Music Fuse, another fundraiser for Music Cares, and Amaru scouted out a park. So he took wonderful video footage for the video, and Cherise has a cameo appearance in the video. So I encourage people to go to my channel, which is LSM Heart, LSMHEART on YouTube, and look at the gorgeous video that Amaru created for Motherless Daughters, Fatherless Sons. The fifth song on the album is called Mama Cries, and I wrote that from the point of view of a young child growing up in poverty, and how, what it feels like for the child to watch her mom struggling so hard, yet doing her best. And I read a lot of songs from the point of view of children and songs for children. And with all the things I've been seeing with people struggling economically, it's much harder for most of the people I encounter now than it was before the pandemic. And there's a lot of poverty and a lot of struggle. So this was from the heart of a small child about what it's like to watch her mom struggle. The sixth song on the album is a funny song, so it's nice to throw some funny stuff in as well as more serious stuff. And that song is called Gardener's Lament. People adore that song, and my local sound engineer, Doug Hammer, and I made a really cute video that's on my YouTube channel that has the protagonists. It's about a hedgehog and a jackrabbit who totally demolished my garden.
Wow.
And it's a true story. And what happened, and there's the 10th song on the album is called Another Teardown, which also relates to the backstory on Gardener's Lament. Where I live in Waltham, Massachusetts, there's a teardown epidemic. I know it's happening in other parts of the country and not just the Northeast, but perfectly good homes where people raise their family are getting torn down by greedy developers who build these tall, skinny things on the lot. Like they'll squeeze in 2 tall, skinny houses where there was once one normal house, and then they sell them for so much money that people that live in the town can't afford to live there anymore. So when they did that, they happened to demolish the fauna and the flora who are there as well. So these ailanthus trees, which are very infectious trees, they're an invasive species and they grow so fast I can't keep up with them. Like now that I know that they grow in my backyard when they never used to be there, I have to go out almost every day and find baby ailanthus bits and pull them before they start growing into trees because they grow so quickly. So anyhow, there was a change to the fauna as well as to the flora. And in my 2025 album, I wrote a song called the Garden Buffet, because the first year after the tear down, there was an infiltration of cottontail bunnies, which were sort of cute, but they ate half my garden. Then the next year, the cottontail bunnies weren't they didn't proliferate as much. However, one wily jackrabbit and my neighbor saw a hedgehog. They just went for everything. They left nothing for me. So I might not have had a harvest, but I got a really funny song that people love called Gardener's Lament. And Ernie Gonzalez, who's a wonderful musician, he plays accordion on the song, which gives it just a really uplifting, fun feel to the story. The 7th song on the album is called Hidden Bloodlines, Hidden Scars. And that's a song about healing anti-Semitism, because sadly, anti-Semitism is in my lifetime, an all-time high. It's something, even though, well, actually, I could say because I grew up without going to many religious institutions, but I had Jewish in my blood. When I went to college, anti-Semitic white men somehow discovered that I had Jewish bloodlines and started to be incredibly nasty and anti-Semitic to me, including even trying to get in the way of a friendship I had with one of their friends. And then what I found is the people who were raised culturally Jewish called me, I wasn't actually a Jew because I wasn't raised Jewish or culturally Jewish. And it was incredibly painful. I could call that two-way anti-Semitism, and it made me step away from religious institutions, and music and nature are my spirituality and my path. But my son, interestingly enough, his response when he experienced anti-Semitism in college was to start studying what was this thing that people were discriminating against him for, and he's now an Orthodox Jew. That was his choice. So it's another autobiographical song, but it's a lot of people's songs, and I pray that the song touches people and has them look a little more deeply in the roots of both anti-Semitism, but any of the prejudice and hate that's far too prevalent right now. The 8th song on the album is called Dancing with God, and that's a duet with Duncan Daniels. It's sort of a good follow-on to Hidden Bloodlines, Hidden Scars, since for me, music really is my religion. And I do feel like I always have a co-writer, no matter the human co-writers, that God is always coming through me in the songs that I write, and that's what the song is about. And Duncan Daniels is a singer-songwriter from Wisconsin. So that was our first collaboration. The 9th song on the album is called Pain Changes Everything. And I had released that song at the beginning of 2025 because it was written in response to when the president or the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, was gunned down by a masked gunman in New York. And those kinds of incidents always sort of grab my gut and grab my heart. And then I start following them and going down the research rabbit hole of what was going on. And when Luigi Mangione was found and accused of being the gunman, although he still hasn't had his trial, it's been a long time, I wanted to look at what could have possibly led a bright, thoughtful young man to potentially be capable of killing another human being. And as I researched his background, what I discovered is that from an early age, from the time he was a kid, he was living with chronic, debilitating, unrelenting pain. He had Lyme disease, and it caused pain, it caused brain fog. Plus, he had a congenital defect in his spine that also caused pain, which as he got older, caused psychic pain and physical pain and limited everything from being able to date a woman to when he wanted to go surfing in Hawaii and took a lesson, he was in bed for 2 weeks in pain. So he was living with debilitating pain, unrelenting pain, and psychic and physical. So the song is called Pain Changes Everything. So it's a song that I really thought was important, and I've tried to bring into the public view, but the media has sort of avoided it, which is really too bad, because with all the gun violence that happens, and mind you, again, until Luigi has a trial, I can only say he's the one accused, is everyone just focuses on how bad people are. They don't look at if a person does something, there's mental health at the root of the matter, mental health crisis of some sort, and we do not provide care for people's mental health adequately in this culture. So that's the ninth cut. Number 10 is Another Teardown, which not only was motivated by what happened behind me in my own backyard, literally, but in my town. And there was a really beautiful historical house. It was called the Perez Smith House. It was not in my immediate neighborhood, but if I were to take a walk for a little bit, I would have come across it. And it had really gorgeous architecture. Unfortunately, it seemed to have been used as like a frat house for a while. It wasn't being properly taken care of, but there'd been a fight in my town between people living in the town who wanted to preserve it and some greedy developers who wanted to tear it down because it had a big lot and they could build a whole bunch of houses if they got rid of it. So I was on the side of the people who wanted to preserve the historical house, but sadly the developers eventually won. And when I saw that it was being torn down, I was devastated, and that's where this Another Teardown came from. And the sad irony is it's been several years since it was torn down, and they, other than clearing the land and putting in this little round piece of hardtop, they haven't done a thing.
Wow. So
it makes me wonder if there's some legal issue going on about building all they want to build. The 11th song on the album, the last two actually are about sad things with close friends of mine. The 11th song is sort of both sad, but it's also really resilient and uplifting in a different kind of way. I have a dear friend named Carol Robinson who died of cancer. But when she realized she was ill, she'd had cancer several times. When it came back this last time, she decided it was okay to die, and she was going to die on her own terms. She was a very spirited, extraordinary woman, and she literally called my phone, and I didn't pick the phone up because I was eating dinner late at night, like 9 o'clock, which was very late. So I was going to just listen and call back when I was done. And it was Carol saying, "I'm calling to let you know I'm dying and it's okay to die." And of course, as soon as I ate dinner, I called her back. But she had a very poignant journey. So this is literally Carol's story in her own words. And when her obituary was published in the Boston Globe, the writer was good enough to actually put a link to her song there.
Oh, wow.
So,
nice.
Yeah, very poignant. And the final song, which is called Will I Ever Get the Chance to Say Goodbye, was written for one of my two lifelong best friends. She had polycystic ovarian disease and was always having to fight off potential health issues that can happen when you have it. And no matter how hard she tried, she eventually became diabetic. And she ended up having a diabetic stroke, which at this point is 3 years ago. And it was pretty crushing. And initially, I could talk to her, although she didn't want me to come visit her because she wasn't herself. I would be happy to hop on a plane and go to Indiana where she left, but she didn't want me to see her in the condition she was in. But then the effects of the stroke got worse and worse to the point that I couldn't talk to her. If I sent her a gift, I didn't even know if she was getting it. Thank God her brother and I would be in touch, and he would just talk about that, she's sort of here, but she's sort of gone. So I wrote the song, as a way of trying to come to terms with what had happened to one of my two lifelong best friends. The other one, thank goodness, is here and healthy. But Brenda actually, at Thanksgiving, her brother called me and he said, try to call her right now, because I hadn't been able to reach her for about 2 years or more. I'd call, but nothing would happen. And he said, I actually talked to her. he said, we can't count on this being a norm, but it actually just happened. So I called right after he called me, and she picked up the phone, and I talked with her for 10 minutes, which was amazing. But unfortunately, after that, every time I've tried to call, nothing has happened. And I promised I would send her a holiday card, and that I'd call when I was sending it to see if she got it, because she said she didn't get the things I'd sent her, which often happens in care facilities. But when I sent her the card and called, I didn't reach her. I didn't get a call back, and I called a number of other times. So I feel like when I first wrote the song, Will I Ever Get the Chance to Say Goodbye?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if I would ever get to hear the sound of her voice. And then this past Thanksgiving, I was lucky enough, even if it was just for 10 minutes, to talk with her. And that may, without meaning to be goodbye, be the goodbye.
Yeah. Very good stuff there, Linda. I love the stories.
Yeah. So, I am definitely a story songwriter, and they all come from the heart to the heart. And I have a fantastic team of musicians who participated. Half of the songs we did the foundational tracks with Justine's team, and half we did at Pentaveret in Nashville with an all-star team, including Smith Curry on pedal steel, who is just a phenomenal pedal steel player. Billy Justino is a keyboardist, and he is just as fantastic at what he does as Smith Curry. The two of them, if you were to look at their resume of who they've played for, it's got tons of A-listers. So I'm very grateful that they were two members of the band for half my songs. And Billy Holland, who is a multi-Grammy nominated sound engineer, did the recording at Pentaveret. And I was actually there when we did those foundational tracks last March. And to listen to his ear, what's interesting is he's legally blind. He has very, very, very little sight. But it's a case where someone who doesn't have one sense makes it up by being superlative in another. So his ears and his attention to detail when recording is absolutely amazing. And not only do you have musicians who play something they've never seen, who sound like they've known it forever on their first take, but then you have a sound engineer whose ability to capture each instrument and the mix of the instrument sounds like it's a fully mastered track and he's just recording it. So that was an amazing experience, and I'm very grateful for the Pentaveret people. I'm grateful for Justine's team. I'm grateful for some artists that I've worked with for a very long time. Alice Hasten is a phenomenal violinist. Michael Ronstadt is a phenomenal cellist. On Queen of the Angels, we have an angel chorus with a number of female vocalists on it, which was really special as well. And the people who are, I call it the angel chorus, include Justine herself, Lindsay K. Pace, Lauren Anderson, who was actually a finalist on The Voice, Amy Jo, who's a good friend from ISSA, Sarah Harrelson, and Charlie Lowry. So if you listen to the title song, it has amazing, amazing vocals on the chorus.
Yeah, it seems like collaboration played an important role in this project, huh?
Absolutely. I love collaborating. It's like here as a songwriter, I spend a lot of time in a room by myself with a piano and a bunch of kitty cats, and my kitty cats are my collaborators, and they're great collaborators. But when other musicians bring their unique, sound or voice or flavor, it just totally enriches a project. It takes it exponentially to another level. So I love collaborating. Sounds like it's an all-star album. It is an all-star album, and it's been getting all-star reviews even though it isn't released yet. I mean, I'm very, very happy about that. And my son, who just turned 30, said that, trying to get a Grammy nomination is like running for political office. So whether it's the time or the finances it takes for people to get their ears to your album, it's sort of overwhelming, particularly for an introvert who doesn't have the level of funds that it really takes. I'm going to do my very best to try to get the album in front of as many ears as I can, because I think it's very Grammy worthy and very nomination worthy. So my prayer is that somehow, and maybe, people will help me do that so I don't have to do it all myself, because I can't. And actually, I do have a little bit of help that I'm grateful for, that's led to why I have some of my reviews. But I just wanted to share one little line from one of the reviews. This is from One West magazine. Often compared to Carole King, Joni Mitchell, and Norah Jones, Marks continues to prove why those comparisons stick. Her songwriting feels lived in and generous, shaped by decades of experience, not just as an artist, but as a community builder and heart-centered psychotherapist. That sense of emotional fluency runs through this album. It knows when to speak and when to simply sit with you. And I felt so seen when the person who wrote this article wrote that.
Yeah, that must give you a warm feeling inside reading something like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another line from the article that really feels great. It's like the song Introvert. Queen of the Angels doesn't ask for attention, it earns it.
Nice. Very good. I have a feeling that you're going to get a lot of those.
Yeah, it's a very worthy album, between what I put into the writing and the arranging and what Justine did with the production, and my local sound engineer, Doug Hammer, who I've worked with for 15 years. He's always involved too, because as soon as I write a song, I go into his studio and I make a demo where it's pianos and vocals, which is what gets sent out so people can hear it before it's recorded. I couldn't work without Doug. There's another local sound engineer named Doug Hortler, and he and Doug Hammer were the two I worked with on producing Hidden Bloodlines, Hidden Scars. I mean, there's so many people, who contribute to this, and they're all amazing. So I think the whole thing is just a quilt of amazing.
Yeah, like I said, it sounds like an all-star team.
Yes, it's absolutely an all-star team.
That's great.
Yeah.
Many of your songs explore deep and real-world themes. How do you balance honesty in your writing while still offering listeners a sense of hope?
Actually, that's my brand. My brand is about uplifting songs at the heart of our times. Because even Pain Changes Everything is a song that has compassion towards how could somebody potentially have shot another human being. In no way does it say it's ever right to shoot anybody, but it looks like what could cause a person to break. But it does. It's like such a sincere song that it makes the listener think without feeling bad. And even Hidden Bloodlines, Hidden Scars, the last line of the song is, let's heal our future, a different dance. So between producing a song in a way that's really rich for the listener and lyrics that are about hope and healing, even Queen of the Angels, it's a song about healing the city of Los Angeles and having compassion for all the people impacted. So I just naturally, because I write from the heart, write to uplift, write to heal, and many people say my songs are very healing.
I would agree with that. You've been creating music for many years now. How would you say your songwriting voice has evolved over time?
Well, I think the biggest piece is, at least for the last 15 or 16 years, I've been able to focus on it in a concentrated way. I didn't talk until I was 3, but as a toddler, I would toddle my way to any piano I could find, which I didn't have one in my home. I had to buy one when I was 13 with my own money, but I was attracted to pianos magically, and I'd just start writing. So music was my native language. It was my first language, and it was always in me. My first performed public piece was my 8th grade graduation song, which I wrote for my school. So I was 12 years old, and I didn't have my piano yet because I was still 12. And I'd bought my own acoustic guitar when I was 11 with my own money. So I was playing the guitar, singing lead, and my entire class was singing the chorus with me. So I always had the music inside me. But what was hard is I grew up with a family where my father was freaked out that he had this daughter who had musical talent and passion. He did everything he could to suppress it and try to sort of beat it out of me, which is not a good way to raise a child. No. So I had a lot of shame about my passion, and I had to work very hard at everything, even when I earned the money myself to buy a piano, which I found, and I came down to the living room and told my parents, I've earned the money, I found the piano, I've called the store. Can you please drive me? I'm 13. I can't drive myself. And can you please give me somewhere to put it because it needs to go somewhere? So it was put on like the 2-season freezing porch, and I could only play when no one was home. So there was a lot psychologically to overcome. Mm-hmm. But when I went to Yale as for my undergraduate degree, I ended up majoring with honors and distinction in music and co-founding Yale's third women's a cappella singing group when I was a 17-year-old freshman, and it's still there. But I did do music, and my first chapter of professional musicianship was from then until I was in my late 20s. But a combination of all the wounding from my father, the reality that it was hard to make a living, although it was easier then than it is now, and then becoming a single mom with no child support and a mom with Alzheimer's, I just couldn't do it. So I had a couple decades where I had to step away, and that was really painful. It's not like I wanted to, I just couldn't do everything. So when my son was 12, I was starting to creep back in because I couldn't stay away. And as my mom was moving towards the end of her life, she'll have been gone 12 years on March 29th. I was moving into albums and performing. And so since my mom has been gone, I've been giving music 1,000%. If everything I earn beyond, what it takes to live, I invest in my music. And while I would never be able to tour, I don't have the means to do that. Plus, as an introvert, that isn't my idea of a good time. I enjoy going to cities where I know some people and performing,
right,
and doing that here, and doing it in bits rather than spending my life on the road.
Right.
But basically, my first album came out when I was in my early 20s. There were decades before I could do more. And 15 more have come out in the last 15 years, with the 16th of the 17 coming out next year. So I've basically been working very hard at writing, at producing, and being on payment plans like a mortgage to pay for producing albums, because I can't afford to just fork over what it costs for an album when I began. So I begged the person, can I please do a payment plan? And thank goodness all the producers have been good about that. So, it's what's happened, I guess, is the deeper I've dived into the music and the more people I've worked with and the more I've lived. I have a song called Wisdom of Lived Years on my 2025 album that's a lullaby for children, but it's also the truth of the songwriter. Like, the longer we live, the more we hone our craft, the more people we study with, the more people we collaborate with, we refine it, and it gets finer and finer and finer. And I have, not that I submitted for awards, most of my life, but over the last, say, 6 years, I started saying, okay, what the heck, I'll do it. I can't even count how many awards I've won for songwriting. So many, I can't even tell you. So, and in a way, the industry is saying you're doing a good job, which means a lot to me. But the most meaningful thing is if I give a show and someone walks up to me and says that song made me cry, or they tell me a story from their life that the song brought up for them. And that's when I feel like what I'm doing is really making a difference.
Makes it all worth it, right?
Absolutely.
Music is therapy for everyone.
It is. And it helps people connect with their hearts in a heartless world, in a world where our hearts get traumatized, in a world where a lot of people won't just take the time to listen and hear. Sometimes music can feel like a friend, a warm friend who gets you.
Yup, absolutely. With such a rich catalog and new material on the way, how do you decide what to perform live, and do your audience influence those choices?
Well, yes, the audience influences the choices in terms of, if I had an audience with children, I wouldn't do Hidden Bloodlines, Hidden Scars about anti-Semitism or Pain Changes Everything. I do Gardner's Lament with a hedgehog and the jackrabbit, and other songs in Gardner's The Garden Buffet. Like, I pick more of the cute songs that's actually, I wrote a song that's going on the 17th album called The Turkey Social Dance, about the wild turkeys. There are 28 of them who strut up and down my street, including in the snow and the 1-degree weather. And it's a really cute song that also has a lot about turkey behavior in it. And that one, it was a finalist for Best Children's Song in the Mid-Atlantic Songwriting Contest. Actually, it was honorable mention. They have like one winner, like a finalist, and then a few honorable mention. But they gave it an award as a children's song. So, and with a children's audience, I have some funny songs, some educational songs, but they're written for a child. Whereas if I were going to perform for a lot of older people, I might pick songs that, would touch them. So I basically try to look at who my audience is. And in some major clubs, I try to pick sort of the songs that win the most awards, because those are the ones that people want to hear. But it also just depends on what's going on in the world at the time of a show. Because since I write so many social impact songs, there are songs that it's like, okay, right now this is needed. And the other tendency I have, which is sort of funny because I've written so many songs and I have such a deep catalog, is I tend to play the songs that are most current. I'm more likely to play something I just wrote than something that won an award even just only 3 years ago. It's sort of funny.
Right.
But if I were playing for people that knew my catalog, I would definitely be glad to give them anything they wanted.
Yeah, but it's always great to introduce the new stuff too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I have a show next Sunday, and I just wrote an anthemic song called Better Than This, which the title alone says what it's about because of what's going on in our country. And I wrote a chorus designed for people to sing along, to be uplifted, because a lot of people don't feel that way. And I'm probably going to do it next weekend, even though it's very new, because I think people need to sing a song like that together in a room.
Right.
And I'm also going to be playing in Philadelphia on March 1st, which I'm very excited about. I'm playing with two singer-songwriter friends who actually I have, collaborative relationships with. One of them, her name is Lisa Jeanette. She and I co-wrote a song called Love Always Wins that was on my 2024 album that won a ton of awards. Lisa's a very, very talented singer-songwriter herself, so I'll probably pull out that song since Lisa's there. And my 2025 album, 3 of the songs on that, both Liz Miller's the other singer-songwriter as well as Lisa. Lisa and Liz did the background vocals on 3 songs because I recorded in Philly. So I asked them, one of the songs is called Be the Change, which is another song that's very timely and relevant for people to hear. So I said, hey, how about we do it with you two on the background vocals? And they said, that sounds like fun. So I'm pulling that one out because I get to do it with them. So, that's an example of, because I'm performing with people who've collaborated, it's really fun to involve them in some of what I do.
Awesome. Grammy Week is always a special time in the music world, and you were right there in the middle of it this year, performing at Music Fuse to support Music Cares, winning a World Entertainment Award for Silence of the Stars, and sharing the stage with Amaru in West Hollywood. What was that experience like?
Oh, it for me, it's pure joy. I love Music Fuse, Suzanne Grzana and Kim Cameron, who organize it, and Alex Otey and Win Walker Doran, they're the 4, but Kim and Suzanne are sort of the central 2. They're wonderful people. People who are my friends are performing. I can't tell you how exciting it is when friends from all over the country or all over the world are in a room and we're sharing a stage together. That's so enriching and joyful. And when Amaru and I perform, everyone says we have a really good chemistry when we perform. And we performed Motherless Daughters, Fatherless Sons in Atlanta this past August, and we got a lot of comments about that. And once again, when we did it in West Hollywood, we got that feedback. So I love performing with him. He's a great collaborator. He's a great friend. He's a multi-talented artist and a great visual creator. He created the cover for Queen of the Angels and the cover for our single, as well as this amazing video, that just got released. So it's just joyful is the best way I can put it. And I love that it raises money for Music Cares. I love that my friends are on the stage. It's just an incredibly enriching experience. There are also other shows. For example, some of my friends did a show that focused on Eastern music and a lot of the Eastern Indian music on the Thursday night of Grammy Week. It was at a place called The Art of Living, and Sharu Suri, who's an amazingly talented friend who does raga jazz, she's a piano player, she was at the center of that. Someone from Australia, Madi Brinkman, who goes by Madi Da, and he brought his 13-year-old daughter along. There was a kirtan as part of it. There were these a father and a son who had these little round drums, and they could make the drum play like a bass if they wanted to, but it was also used in music where there was sound and there was drumming that was quite extraordinary. There was a woman who performed who said she was the only Indian rapper, which was quite interesting because there was an Indian music feel to what she did, but you could also see there were beats like in rap, and she also danced. So there was it was just an incredibly rich, uplifting evening that was part of the week. And this is another case where people involved in the Recording Academy, some nominated for Grammys, were performing just like another bunch of us were at Music Fuse. And that's all for me, just so enriching and joyful.
Yeah, it looked like a good time. I seen all the photos that you were posting.
Yeah. And the other thing I love is it's like, we're always a community. Like social media sort of helps remind us that we're a community.
Right.
But when you're together at events where we're all performing, we literally embody the community.
Yeah, it's like you lift each other up.
Absolutely. And you also just feel what it feels like to be in a room full of other artists, all working, with their hearts and souls at the best level they can, all coming together, for healing, for making the world a better place, having their own unique style. But, everybody is there just nourishing each other through music and through being together as a community.
That's the best part about it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, beyond recording and performing, you do a lot for the music community through ISSA Boston Northeast chapter. Why is that sense of community such an important part of your mission?
It has been since I was a little girl. It just always has been. It's like there's a tendency for people to feel alone, to feel separated. I mean, I know that as a creative myself, but when I was a little girl, I just had this instinct of how you build community and bring people together. In grammar school, even though I was a shy introvert, the principal of the school said I needed to run for class president, which was the last thing I wanted to do. But she knew, I just instinctively knew how to do it. And in order to do a campaign speech, which was the last thing I wanted to do, I just sat on the stage, spoke from my heart, and my best friend in 8th grade, who, people used to joke I was the smartest kid in the school and she was not, and which I hated. I didn't like people making those judgments in either direction. But we both did that. And then I won the election, and became president, even though I hadn't wanted to run. So it was just an example of somehow, when put with people, I knew how to tap into the things that mattered to the point that they wanted me to lead. And so I've been involved in artist alliance groups. When I was 21, I formed my first artist alliance group here in Boston and started to produce multimedia concerts in Eastern Massachusetts. And besides having musical artists, we'd have poets and visual artists and spoken word artists of other kinds. And then I'd get people from the major radio stations to come MC. So it's instinctual. So what I've been doing for it's going on 4 years with the ISSA Boston Northeast chapter is building an artist alliance group with singer-songwriters. And we do have people who are from all of the Northeast, and even we extend beyond it. In fact, a friend of mine from Philly is actually, this is my own house concert, but it's an example where a friend from Philly is coming in, a friend from DC is going to come in for another one. I created a whole bunch of songwriter showcase series at a whole bunch of non-traditional venues where, in essence, we bring high quality art to communities that may not have it the same way that major cities do. Boston or Hartford or New York have a glut of culture, and Cambridge and Somerville, Massachusetts are sort of suburbs of Boston that have a lot of culture. But where I'm performing next Sunday, I have a series at a gorgeous Victorian building called Oaks Ames Memorial Hall in Northeaston, Easton. People think Northeastern. No, it's not that. Northeaston, Mass. It's a gorgeous Victorian hall, and we do a series there. And their local cable TV station videos us for rebroadcast so that more people than just those who come get the benefit of it. And it's a joy playing in this amazing historical hall. So that's one example. Another example is I was invited to play last summer in a brand new outdoor performance area at this extraordinary church. It has the most extraordinary architecture inside. And it was really serene and beautiful. And two older sisters who are nuns overheard, they came for the concert and they loved it. So I've been starting to build a series in their indoor space. We did one in November, and now we have another one coming up in April. And it's such an extraordinary environment to perform in. The way it looks, the way it sounds, the art, everything about the space is just absolutely exquisite, as well as the curator and the two older nuns who live there. So that the artists who played the last time, and one of them had come in from New York State, one had come in from Maine, and two of us were from Massachusetts. All the artists were like blown away by what it felt like to perform there. So it's finding spaces like that and bringing people into the spaces and then bringing in music creates an incredibly rich experience. And so that's one big part of what I do. And that basically it builds community with the local community as well as with artists who enjoy playing together. And we also have started doing song circles with a potluck. There's a church that's been good enough to donate their space to us, and but during the pandemic, because if we go back 4 years, it was the pandemic and people weren't getting together, so we had to do things by Zoom. Mm-hmm. To have the ability where we can gather and do a song circle in person and do a potluck where we share food, that builds community in an old school kind of way. And we have monthly Zoom meetings that we've been doing for 4 years, which has become an educational series. In fact, today at 5 o'clock, Tom Maynard, who's a wonderful member of our group, he lives in Connecticut, and he runs tech and sound for most of our shows, God bless his soul, and he's a phenomenal singer-songwriter as well. He's doing a seminar today for our February monthly meeting called Online Performing Using OBS, the OBS platform. So the titles of our seminars are all over the place. We have one coming up next month on writing and performing social justice songs for children. I did one, I have an introduction to the Recording Academy and the Grammys that people asked me to do that will be in April. In May, we have someone doing crafting hooks. We had somebody talk about ways to use your music to affect social change, someone who's a very effective national touring artist who's probably the best person to talk about that. An artist talked about bookings. I mean, we've had all kinds of different topics. So it's everybody, sharing their knowledge and expertise, supporting each other.
Yeah, that OBS program is great for doing live streams.
Mm-hmm.
Have you used it yet?
I will never use it because I'm not technical.
Oh, I thought maybe someone set it up for you while you were performing.
Oh, maybe. No. For 6 years, beginning in March of 2020, or just about 6 years, I started in 2019, but I basically did a weekly live stream when all our gigs got canceled. The only way I could perform was on a live stream, so I just did it on my iPhone on Facebook Live.
Oh, nice.
That's about my level of technical sophistication, and when I need to do something real, I'll go into Doug's recording studio and have him set up all the tech for me, because I actually have done some live stream shows. There's a town called Dracut, Massachusetts, and they had me as a featured artist in their series last year. So I went and I did the live stream for Dracut Arts in his studio. Nice. And the Folk Project out of New Jersey had me do one of their streaming Tuesdays, and I did that out of his studio. So if I need to do a serious professional live stream, mm-hmm. I'll have a professional sound engineer do everything. And likewise, he has a gorgeous baby grand, so I can play that too while I do it. Whereas here, the more simple version is just me on my piano in my office where I write and where I work, on my iPhone with a lavalier mic. So,
hey, it works, right?
It works, yes.
Yeah, so that's all that matters.
It works, and it's very human and very personal for the audience. But if I want something professional, I go into the recording studio and I do it professionally.
Gotcha. For the listeners who want to follow your journey and keep up with your new music, where can they find mm-hmm. you online? Do you have a website or social media you want to share?
Sure. My website is lindamarksmusic.com. I'm not so good at keeping that super current, but I do keep my YouTube channel, which is LSMHEART, LSM Heart. So if you go to youtube.com/ LSM Heart. Go there. I've got tons of material, everything from I just wrote a song, I went into the studio, I just made a studio video playing the piano and singing, to gorgeous, incredibly carefully, professionally produced videos like what Amaru just did for our song, and some clips from some live shows when I'm able to get someone to do video, all kinds of stuff that goes back a fair amount of time. So my YouTube channel, and then I post a good amount on social media, both as myself, Linda Marks, and my music page is Linda Marks Music on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I'm at LSM Heart. I'm even posting some stuff on LinkedIn. It's interesting how that's sort of emerging again as a place. So any of those places you can find me.
Sounds good. Now, before we wrap things up today, is there anything we didn't cover that you'd like to share with the listeners?
I feel that it's important, if people feel any kind of creative calling, to follow it. We need people to bring their ideas, their vision, their passion into the world. I love mentoring young artists. Like, one of the privileges of being a member of the Recording Academy is the Grammy U program, where I have the opportunity to mentor a young artist every semester. And I love doing that. But there are many of you who may be listening that have an artistic streak, and you may never have given yourself permission to lean into it, or you have, and you're sort of afraid, what can I do with it? And I would just encourage you, if you feel drawn to create anything at all in any medium, do it, because it's so enlivening, and there'll be somebody that needs to see or hear what it is you create.
That's great advice, Linda.
Well, thank you. And it's inspiring for me when I get to see what other people create as well.
I'm sure. Well, Linda, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I had a great time chatting with you. It's like we just picked up the conversation from the last time.
Yes, well, thank you. You're a wonderful interviewer, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share and be on your show.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of this album when it comes out, and I want to wish you the best of luck with it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I just pray that, it finds its way to people's ears, even in a world where streaming has a glut of material, and it's hard for people to find. It's hard. On the one hand, you can find anything, but on the other hand, it's also hard to find things. So both of those things are true.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you the best of luck with everything, and let's stay in touch, and you enjoy the rest of your day, all right?
Thank you. You too. And thanks again for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
What an incredible conversation today with Linda Marks, an artist whose music truly comes from the heart. From her songwriting journey and award-winning body of work to her deep commitment to community and collaboration, Linda's passion for creating music with meaning shines through in everything she does. It's always inspiring to spend time with an artist who understands the power of song, not just as entertainment, but as the way to heal, connect, and remind us we're not alone. And before we sign off, I want to leave you with a truly special track, a powerful and moving duet that speaks to shared loss, empathy, and understanding. This is Motherless Daughters, Fatherless Sons, performed by Linda Marks and Amaru. I'm James Michael Hollenstein, and this has been The Record Machine Show. Until next time, keep those records spinning.
I am your daughter, you are my mom. You were weary long before you birthed me into this world. Lost your mom when you were 12, carried the household by yourself, put yourself through college without help from anyone. And yet, motherless daughters, fatherless sons, I am your mother, you are my son. Emotional nurturance was not something he could offer you. His unchallenged mental health, so focused was himself, still cannot see the pain that he's passed on to you. And yet, motherless daughters, fatherless sons, haunted or uplifted by folks we never knew. Neglect or care shapes our DNA. Our ancestors live in us, in our face and in our eyes, and as ghosts who spook us deep inside. Motherless daughter, fatherless sons, carry the wounds of generations past onto us through no fault of their own. Inside they feel alone. They do their best but struggle in a heartless world. And yet, motherless daughters, fatherless sons, haunted or uplifted by folks we never knew. Neglect or care shapes our DNA. Our ancestors live in us, in our face and in our eyes, and as ghosts who spook us deep inside. A motherless daughter with a fatherless son. It is humbling that the legacies passed on through us, though we heal and though we grow, we'll never really know how much our efforts will transform what lies ahead. And yet, we're still here, and love is real.
The Record Machine Show is a weekly radio podcast produced by Jimmy Hall Productions. All rights reserved. For distribution information or to add this podcast to your website, please visit our contact page at therecordmachineshow.com to submit your request. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Record Machine Show.